Nancy Pelosi and other lawmakers in the House have already passed a funding bill that is going to prevent a government shutdown later this month, sending the measure to the Senate. The bill approved by the House would keep the government running at current levels through March 11th, and Chuck Schumer said he plans to vote on the spending bill quickly and in time. Congress in recent years has often failed to pass full-year appropriations bills, bouncing between last-minute and short-term legislative efforts to keep the government funding. Lapses in funding can lead to furloughs of federal workers and disruptions in the economy. Yes, lawmakers are coming very close to a new deadline. It's going to send out more financial relief to the people. Nancy Pelosi, progressive lawmakers have announced that they want to give the next stimulus relief bill passed in just a very few couple of weeks. Democrats have to use the budget reconciliation process once again. And remember everybody, the whole goal of this channel is to provide you with the most up-to-date and reliable stimulus check information. I want to make sure that every member of my community receives the much needed stimulus checks that everybody needs. So there are some big new developments on the next round of payments. And according to the Hill, caucus leaders are urging that a Democrat-controlled Senate pass President Biden's Build Back Better package sooner than later. This group of lawmakers have said that the timing would give President Biden a much-needed opportunity to announce a major accomplishment during a State of the Union. In an official statement, Pramila Jayapal said, "In the months since negotiations began around the Build Back Better, the case for the legislation has only become more urgent. There is agreement among the Senate Democrats on significant parts of this bill. Climate action, the care economy, and taking on prescription prices and lowering healthcare costs. There is agreement on the need to reduce rising costs facing ordinary Americans, and that is exactly what the Build Back Better does. So I definitely support passing President Biden's Build Back Better bill by March 1st. Lawmakers have had enough time to stop playing games, and it's time that they finally take action for the people. All Democrats, including Joe Manchin and progressives like AOC, need to come to an agreement on the spending bill this week. The Congressional Progressive Caucus leaders have been a leading force at the negotiating table for months on deadlines to pass a massive spending bill. Progressive office holders have consistently urged two centrist holdouts in the upper chamber, like Manchin and Sinema, to get on board with this with the rest of the Democratic caucus and a majority of House Democrats ready to pass President Biden's signature and his new bill. House Representative Pramila Jayapal has listed several issues that have escalated recently. They're hurting people and explained how Biden has a chance to tell voters that he worked with congressional Democrats to fix some of what has been broken. It is clear that needed relief cannot be delayed any longer. Nancy Pelosi and other lawmakers in the House have already passed a funding bill. In this bill, everybody could help many people across the nation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I didn't come here to talk about SALT, but since the ranking member raised it, let me just say, if I was Pennsylvania, I'd like the way things are. Pennsylvania gets $15 billion more from the federal treasury than it contributes to the federal treasury. So if we could do that, I'd be happy to make a deal with all of my colleagues who have a problem with SALT that we'll just get back whatever we send. And New Jersey would be very happy, because there are maker states like New Jersey that invest in education and research and development, in infrastructure, that helps it drive the economy and sends billions to the federal treasury, more than it gets in return. So it's a maker state. And then there are those states that I call moocher states that get a lot more than it sends to the federal treasury. If you want to continue to have states that are maker states, that are blue chip states, that make money for the federal treasury, then just continue to ox the state and local property tax deduction, which is the longest-serving part of the federal code in terms of a deduction, and you will see those states be less of maker states so that you can continue to mooch off of it. But let me move to the more current issue of the time. There's no doubt that American families are feeling the pain of inflation as supply shortages have wreaked havoc on the world economy. However, that pain has been magnified by companies that are hiding behind the headline inflation figures to justify raising prices and profits on the backs of hardworking Americans. And let's be clear, corporations are not the ones hurting right now. Here's a transcript of Kimberly Clark's last earnings call a few weeks ago. CEO Mike Hsu stated that the company took, quote, decisive action to offset the impact of higher costs with significant pricing actions. He wasn't kidding. The price of a 50-pack of Kimberly-Clark N95 masks more than doubled from $23.19 to $57.15 from last October to January. And the company's plan for the future is not to deliver relief to consumers, but to resume stock buybacks, quote, as soon as we get the excess cash flow. It's amazing to seek profit beyond simply hiding behind the issue of inflation. Dr. Bernstein, are you seeing this occur in other sectors of the economy as well?
Yeah, profit rates and profit margins are highly elevated for firms across many sectors of the economy. That's a short answer to your question. I guess putting that in the context of our discussion, and by the way, I did want to correct something that Senator Toomey said. Actually, while you're correct about the year-over-year numbers, last month, real wages actually beat inflation. But I wanted to talk about this in the context of wage growth and inflation. It is commonly argued that wage growth is a source of inflation, and that is potentially true based on a full set of other factors that contribute to inflation, including productivity growth and the share of national income that's going to labor or to profits. And it is completely coherent within the algebra of how wages and inflation interact that non-inflationary wage growth can be paid for out of reduced profit margins. And I think that's relevant to.
Well, I just cited one quarterly profit call. There are many others in which clearly the companies are using the guise of inflation to ratchet up their earnings, and that is unconscionable. We have to think about ways in which that transparency can take place so that consumers know. It's just pretty astounding. Let me ask one other question. We're facing a dire labor, even as we talk about a growing economy, we have a labor shortage across the economy, which is contributing also, in my mind, to rising inflation and unmet consumer demand. There are currently nearly 11 million job openings nationwide across low-wage and high-school industries. Immigrants are ready and willing to fill those jobs. We had the Secretary of Energy in New Jersey the other day at one of our research and development centers. The four of the 6 people who made presentations were clearly immigrants to the United States, leading the way in innovation. Unfortunately, there's over 1.6 million immigrants still have pending work permit applications before USCIS, and over 8 million immigrants that are stuck in the broader visa backlog.